This episode of the Success Chronicles is a special Thanksgiving edition. I am thankful for my mother, and this is dedicated to her. I am thankful for her many sacrifices while raising me to be the man that I am. I am thankful that she is a godly woman and have instilled that in me as well. I am thankful that she was my inspiration to become a teacher and a coach because I saw the positive impact she made on others. Thank you, Mama. I love you with all my heart. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another episode of the Success Chronicles, and this is a special episode because I have this special lady with me, which is my mother. And we'll start off by let me just say a few things about her before we get into the questions. An amazing lady. I was truly blessed to be raised by an amazing person like her and taught how to do things the right way. And I'm thankful that God has blessed her to be such a blessing to not just us as a family, but to so many people with her career. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So really don't have the first question is how do we know one another? How do we meet? But y'all can figure that out probably. You probably look at us and figure that out.
Twin.
But if you could just kind of explain to us like your life story, where you grew up and, your educational path and so forth and so on.
Well, I was born in Austin, Texas, to two graduate students. One who was a graduate student at the University of Texas, and one who was a theological student at Southwestern Theological Seminary in Fort Worth, Texas. I attended parochial school at Ebenezer Baptist Church prior to beginning my public school history at L.L. Campbell Elementary School in Austin. How much do you want to know about all of that?
Well, I mean, just whatever you like. Maybe just go into your high school and your college.
Okay. Well, because both of my parents were continuous professional students, we lived several places. And my dad was a pastor, and we lived in Austin, we lived in Ennis, we lived in Dallas, we lived in Chicago. I spent most of my young life in Hearn, Texas, with one grandmother, and Austin, Texas, with my other grandmother. And I was blessed to have like three grandmothers because I had an aunt who didn't have children, and she claimed my father and me as her children. So I had a strong Christian background. Yes.
And then let's just kind of, before we go on about your college, let's just kind of talk about this house where we are.
Yes.
This is a house that I was raised in here in Hearn, Texas. And can you tell the family historical importance of this place, this house?
This house is on our family's prayer ground. This house is where my mother was born. This house is where my great-grandmother lived. And for many, many years, this is where all the family history took place, right here. The prayer meetings, the dinners, the revival. We had an uncle that had 17 children, and every year after the cotton pick, he and his 17 children and his wife would come to Brinken Street in Hearn to this house and the church down on the corner and would run a revival. And they would start the revival at the church and move it down to this house, and all the neighbors from all around would stand around and they would sing and pray and seek salvation and the Holy Ghost of the Lord right here at this house. Babies were born at this house. In fact, my mother was born at this. This is where the babies were born. And so this house has a great history. All of our cousins who come to visit on their vacations, they revisit this house because this was the center of family activity. So I'm happy to say that my children have become a part of the history of this house. Lots of love went on here.
No doubt.
A lot of service to family and community. It was like a community center right here. They took in old sick women, old sick men. My uncle built a house in the backyard for a homeless. They even had homeless people back then. My uncle built a house in the backyard for a homeless lady who was sick, and they took her in, and she lived in that house until she died. So this house has very wonderful history. And there's a story that all of the grandchildren in my mother's generation had. They said that at this house, every evening, Big Mama would gather all the grandchildren in and around her wheelchair and have prayer with them at this house. So I would say this house has great historical as well as religious history.
Can you talk a little bit about your college education?
My college education.
Where did you go to college? What did you major in?
Undergraduate, I was fortunate to get some scholarships, and I attended Texas Woman's University at the Denton campus. I majored in education, and I was certified in elementary and special education. I worked my master's degree at Prairie View A&M University. I have a Master of Education, and I got more certifications in early childhood, more special education certifications, and I started my doctoral program at Grambling State University in Louisiana. So I look forward to the day. I also went to seminary online, so I'm Dr. Wanda. And I look forward to getting my secular degree in special education administration someday. Maybe I'll get it while you and Udi getting y'all's. We'll just all get them at the same time.
There you go. As far as your career, can you talk to us about the places you taught?
Of course. Well, I started my career in Dallas, Texas. I worked with children and families, and I provided, well, in other words, I worked for the state of Texas, and I worked for the first woman regional administrator in Texas at a public agency. Her name was Rothstein. Right, she got me right out of college, and she nurtured me and introduced me to many people in the agency. After working with the Ms. Giles, I worked in Child Protective Services, and I worked in Adult Protective Services. Then I was blessed to become a teacher with the Dallas Independent School District at James Madison School. Then I moved to Hearn, Texas, and I started teaching a little bit of a lot of things. From elementary to adult. And in addition to teaching, while I was teaching, I became a city council member, and I developed programs for children and families. I wrote grant programs for the children and families in our area, and had a music ministry while I was in Dallas as well as in Hearn. I drove a lot of school buses on field trips. On field trips for the children here. The Lord blessed us to be able to expose our children to things through bus trips. I call them the big yellows.
There you go.
And we just did a lot of things here with children and churches. I was a minister of music at Independent Baptist Church, minister of music at Pleasant Grove Baptist Church in College Station, district musician for the GFDA over in the Brazos Valley area. I've done music workshops. So basically, all of my working has actually been ministering, so to speak.
Right, and a blessing and influential to others.
Exactly.
Right.
The Lord has used me, has used my jobs to be a blessing to His people, and that is the pinnacle of success to me.
There you go. What are 3 things you have accomplished in your life that you're proud of?
I am proud to have a son named Chip Baker,
Oh, cut
who
it out.
has been a wonderful blessing to children and families. I am glad to have a daughter named Udi Baker. Miss Udi and Chip. I'm happy to have Miss Udi, who the Lord has called to be a blessing to children and families. I am happy that the Lord has been able to use me in many ways to be a blessing to His people. And that's what I'm most proud of.
There you go. And I can't say this enough. I think the reason why I chose to do what I do is because of you. And I'll tell this story. I would, in our community, wherever we went, I would see children see my mother, and she wouldn't even see them. She wouldn't even make eye contact with them. But I would see them see her, and just right off the bat, smiles. They'd have smiles on their face because of the difference and the impact that she made in their lives. And to me, I just wanted to be able to do that myself. And that's why I chose to be a teacher and a coach and do the things that I'm involved in, and why and how I do the things that I'm involved in is because of the example that you set. And so I'm very appreciative of that. And it's not, at the end of the day, it's not about, just like she said, it's not about me, and you can say that to people, but people don't really get it until they see it, until they see it from you, and it's a genuine thing. Like you can say, yeah, it's not about me, it's whatever I can do to help others, but until you see it and feel that genuineness, like whatever I can do, however God can use me to be a blessing to somebody, I think that's the life that you live. And so I'm thankful to have been around just to see it and be a part of, and to be Chip Baker, the son of this wonderful woman.
It's Alicia, Miss Udi, was telling me about an experience that she had in Conroe.
Yeah.
She went to a business place to fill out some information for some business she was going to take care of, and the lady at the business looked on her form and saw her last name and where she was from, and she was like, "Do you know Wanda Baker?" And she was saying, "Yes, that's my mother." And Udi was saying she was so excited. "That was my teacher." And so, like you said, and I used to get that same feeling when I lived across the street.
Right.
And people would come from all over the world to visit my grandmother there at that house. And even after I grew up, when they would come from out of town, they would call me to get my mother's phone number so they could get in touch with my grandmother. They wanted to know. She taught them out in the country in the one-room colored school, and where you had all the grades in one room. And so I feel that is our family ministry because in the Bible it speaks as teaching being one of the ministries that God has set forth for us. So I'm just so thankful that God has smiled on me.
Definitely so.
He has smiled on me, and he called us to this ministry to be a blessing to his people.
What is your definition of success?
Hey. Well, I'm famous for a word in my community, and it's thank you! Thank you, Jesus. And that's my definition of success, to know who the Lord is and to do what he has called you to do.
There you go.
To be a blessing to his people. That's success, because if we seek him first, then all our other is, he fulfills that and brings it to pass. So that's success.
There you go. What do you think it takes to achieve success?
I think that success is achieved by love that comes forth from you to others. I think that, just like I said before, when we seek him first, then the success that he has planned for us can come forth. And being successful is being who, what, when, and where he called us to be, and what he called us to do. That's being successful.
Well, thank you so much for interviewing with the Success Chronicles, and thank you so much for being who you are, and showing not just me but so many people the right way to do things. And I'm forever appreciative and grateful for that. I love you.
Thank you so much, son, for being Chip Baker.
Well, thanks for joining us on this episode of the Success Chronicles. We'll see you next time. God bless.